So as you can tell by the title of the video, I've been having a busy 3 months getting out there socializing. But what it doesn't mention is that I've spoken and met probably more people in those 3 months than I have in like 3 years, which is crazy. And it probably explains why I'm so tired right now. So currently we're at the end of December 2025, and that means I've been actively socializing throughout October, November, and December. I'm treating it a lot like strength training and progressive overload. In simple terms, that's literally just trying to do a little bit more than you did before. In training context, that's like lifting more weight or more repetitions. In this context, it's like you talk to 3 people in a week instead of 4, or you go to like another event or something like that. You stay out a little bit longer, and then yeah, over time in the practice, you just get a little bit more used to it. I still wouldn't say I'm used to it, but I know that I'm confident enough to get out there and just like get going. If anybody watching this wants some practical guidelines for what I did, I'll briefly go over some of the basic events and structure that I used for this kind of process. So this is the main database where I list my family, good friends, valued friends, moderate friends, and acquaintances. And what I do with this is just kind of get a general sense of where I am with different people. And for example, most of the friends on this list have partners. So for example, a couple of them I was on holiday with a few months back, and just by proximity you end up befriending their partners, and that's just a simple, easy way to expand. Can't really control it, but if you do have the opportunity, it's always useful. The next table is for events. This is pretty straightforward. I just compile different types of events by parties or meetings or activities, stuff like that, and then list the location, rate it after the event, list the date, so I can get a general sense of how frequently I'm going to these things, and then any notes on the end is good just to keep track of how you felt about them. But more than that is gathering sources, which are specific activities or clubs or lifestyle type things that I compile, and then I break those down into more tables of specific locations. For example, I've listed paintball because that was a hobby that I really wanted to try, so I've then found a few different locations and then tried some games there just to test if that was a hobby that I wanted to pursue, and that could be a consistent place for meeting people. It wasn't, by the way. It just hurts. It's tremendous fun. I like how much it hurts, but yeah, it's not something I would really go to every week. There were a few other options. Some I already had interest in, like book club. I like reading, so a book club is just a natural extension. Other stuff is a bit newer, like board games. I played board games with friends, but not with strangers. I also went on a couple dates throughout these 3 months. They were okay. Nothing really happened with them, but it was fine. It was a good experience. Those were the first dates I'd ever been on, so I wasn't really sure what to expect, and it was good to just get some introductory experience out of the way. I went to some parties as well, things I generally wouldn't do. Bars, singles events, clubbing, that kind of thing. Didn't really enjoy any of it. It's not really my scene, but it's good you should definitely try it. If you can safely and like financially try it, then yeah, it's good just to give it a go. And if you're wondering, I did go alone, which poses a unique situation. You have to kind of consider how you want to approach that. You have to consider how you want to approach that alone differently than with friends, obviously. It is a little daunting, but I think it opens up a lot of freedom for you. I don't really have to worry about my personality being altered when I'm with friends. I can just go out there, do my main thing, that's it. I wouldn't really say that's a place to make friends though, mostly because it's very loud and active, and I've recategorized it now as a way to reinforce existing friendships, not form new ones. And that's really what this whole project is about, is how to streamline and optimize making friends or romantic relationships or just any kind of socialization like that. The big consistent one, as most people probably agree, is just a shared consistent space. So when you're in school, you make friends with your classmates. At work, hopefully you make friends with coworkers, and then if you have hobbies, activities, weekly things, monthly things, that's when you would meet more people. For me, I don't have any hobbies like that. I have plenty of hobbies, but they're all so singular and isolated that I feel no need to actually go out there and meet people for them. Like, you can transform your basic hobbies into social activities. Like writing is a solitary pursuit, but then you can join writing groups and have people read stuff. but I am way too much of a snob for that, and I just don't feel the need. Same with reading. I'll read. I don't want to join a book club and then have to feel constricted in reading that book for that week or that month or whatever. But again, that's just because I'm kind of an asshole, so it's just me. Going to the gym as a hobby is also pretty solitary. Like, if you have friends that go to the gym, then sure, you can go and train together, but making new friends at the gym just doesn't seem to be something that happens very consistently. Any romantic approaches at the gym is also framed typically pretty negatively, so I would stay away from doing that. But again, that's just my opinion. Anyway, all of this is to say that these 3 months have been, I would say, productive, very tiring. I didn't enjoy it. I would say maybe like 30% of what I did was actually like pretty fun, and then of that 30, maybe 15% was stuff that I would like want to do again. That doesn't mean it's a waste of time. That just means I've narrowed down the kind of activities that I want to do and found a clear, streamlined process that I can pursue going forward. So for any of you that are struggling with socialization, you might benefit from going for a very like abrupt, large-scale approach in a short time frame. I think that worked for me for these last 3 months, because I'm going to scale back the frequency in the next few months and then reevaluate after that. There were a few people that I met that I think I would be friends with. Like, there were a couple guys at this book club that I respected and I thought were really interesting to talk to. There was a couple people at this archery club that I thought were pretty fun to be around. There were a couple people that I followed online after meeting them at events. Probably wouldn't become friends after that, just because these events kind of happen once and then you go your own separate ways. But the experience itself is good, and you never know, so you might see them again. I've actually only made one friend since leaving high school, which is one friend in 8 years. And I met them through work, so really it was just a lucky coincidence that I ended up working with somebody who I thought was cool and fun to be around. Because aside from work, I don't regularly meet the same people over and over, so this was just a total coincidence. I'm lucky that since my next job I have met more people, and I would say they're in a general sense my friends, but they're definitely like work friends, which is the big difference. Like, probably I might hang out with them outside of work. I'd be probably happy to, but the likelihood is a lot lower than this other friend. I think it's important as well to analyze what was going through my head around that time when I befriended them, because that key moment of going from like casual coworker to actual friend is maybe important, especially if we want to replicate that in the future. So what happened? I met them at the start of work, and then probably about 6 months after we started working together, we were at a work function at this like outside pub type thing. Maybe it was a beer garden, I don't really know. And I remember I was running late, which really pissed me off because I was hoping to sit next to them at the event. So by the time I got there was only one spot, and it was at a different table to the person that I was trying to speak to, so there's not a lot of opportunity there. If I was bolder, like maybe I could have moved over there or asked people to shuffle around or move a chair, but especially back then, that was ages ago, I lacked like most of my skills that I have these days. It was actually thanks to them that we got to talk, because like after the main meal was done and then people started moving around and mingling, then they moved to my table and then we got to chat about just like general stuff. And I would pretty much never casually chat at work, because before that job I had worked in a factory and my mindset was just like, if you're at work you should be working. Like, I didn't understand that you could just stand around and chat about whatever random stuff. So that was really good, and I remember being like really happy when they did that. Happy to the point that it was worrying, because like, if you're so excited, then am I going to scare this person away with wanting to be their friend? But no, I know I was really fortunate that they were like cool and chill, and I probably did show too much enthusiasm, but they were not like creeped out or weirded by it, so that's fortunate for me. Yeah, and then from there, a pretty conventional type of friendship continued, just like talking a bit at work, and then chat a bit at lunch, that kind of thing. I think another turning point would have been adding the person online, like befriending, like friend request, whatever, Facebook, like a Facebook friend request, something as simple as that. That was another transitional point because then that medium exists outside of work. And then the big one that I was gunning for was to hang out outside of work because that clearly solidifies that you're not just work friends anymore, you're like actually proper friends hanging out. We did get to hang out once at a party outside of work and that was okay. Not the like perfect scenario. I would have preferred if it was a more conventional hangout, not just a full party, because then you don't get to focus on individual people as much. But yeah, if I analyze these 3 transitional points, then the first would be at the beer garden like lunch event. They initiated the conversation, so in the future if I want to befriend somebody, I should have really stepped up and done something with more confidence, because it turned out great. And if I had done that myself, then so going forward, if I want to replicate that experience, I should be the one to initiate. Then number 2 is adding people online. That's pretty straightforward. Whether it's Facebook or Instagram, Discord, then it's just a natural extension. And then number 3 is hanging out outside of work. That one's not really applicable, especially if you meet the person at a hobby. You're already outside at doing that hobby. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to go join another hobby? No, you just keep meeting them at that one. But even though I've considered ways to make more friends, I'm not really rushing to actually do that. I think I'm more interested in the moment-to-moment skills than the sustained effort of being somebody's friend, because I can spend a lot of time alone and I don't really feel the effects. Like, I know no man is an island and all that stuff, but I'm definitely a fucking peninsula. So for the time being, I probably won't pursue any more meaningful friendships, but small interactions on a day-to-day basis with different strangers is still a good experience. The other thing is connecting with different people of different ages, because I find it unusually difficult to like really properly connect with people who are younger than me or even my same age. Like, I can do it. I have the skills and the lingo and the meme knowledge or whatever to communicate in a way that they do. But when it comes to a lot of media or references or historical events or just like general zeitgeist understanding, then I gravitate so much more to the age bracket above me, like probably like 5 to 10 years above me. And that's not bragging, that's like, this is a curse sometimes. Like, for example, I was at an event about a week ago, and I was standing around with 4 other people, and there was one person who was like mid-30s and the rest were 20s, or maybe like young 20s or something like that. And then the person in the 30s said, what was it? So they said the quote, build it and they will come. And I'm thinking, like, that sounds really familiar. They say it again, I'm thinking, and then I say, oh yeah, Field of Dreams. And they understand, they remember. I've seen that film. So I thought it was Kiefer Sutherland, but it's actually that other guy. Yeah, no, it's Kevin Costner. That was I botched that, but anyway. But then totally all the other people in the conversation didn't know what the film was. They knew the name Kevin Costner, or Kiefer Sutherland, but I don't think that really like registered in a meaningful way. And it's the same with this friend that I made at work. Like, they're a few years older, and it felt like the stuff that I said and thought made more sense than when I'm with peers around my own age. Does that mean I should be aiming for an older bracket? Maybe, but at the same time, probably not going to push for anything specific. The other issue, similar to the age bracket thing, not really an issue, but just a consideration, is that I seem to find it way easier to make friends with girls than guys, to the point that like 2 or 3 of these girls have told me like personal things that I didn't entirely want to hear, but that's fine. It's good to have that trust, I guess. But then that makes me think, like, should I aim for having more guy friends, or is this totally normal, totally fine? Again, I'm not really gunning for more friends in general, so I'm putting this whole topic on ice, but it'll be something to come back to and think about as the months go by. At the end of this full 3-month experience, I don't really feel like I'm happy. I would say it was a good experience, but it was kind of like it was just tiring, or it was more like figuring out things that I don't like to do rather than suddenly stumbling across experiences that I did enjoy having. Like, I feel really fortunate that I even made that one friend from work, because if I didn't do that, I don't think I would have come across any other instances of regular organic friendships. But at the same time, I know that because that was the first friend I made after high school, then I probably poured too much of myself into it, and it was like too much enthusiasm, too much effort. Like, if I had more regular number of friends, then that kind of everything would have leveled out. Like, nothing went wrong. We're still friends and all that. So, what am I trying to say? I don't know what I'm saying. I think that I put too much effort into this one friendship, but at the same time, I find it difficult to connect with people, not just guys, or not just because of age bracket, or just because of anybody, just because I think I'm a freak, just because I think I don't align very well with people, and I have a level of specificity that requires a commensurate specificity, and I think that's difficult to find. But that's kind of the same for everybody. Everybody will have their own unique thing and find it hard to connect with other people. So in that regard, it's just a numbers game. Like, meet more people, hope that you kind of connect, find one related interest, and then go from there. But at the end of all this, I feel like I'm in the end stages of going through a big period of self-loathing, followed by a big period of like self-affirming egotism, with neither one being really healthy. It's kind of like you go from self-deprecating jokes to self-aggrandizing jokes, and in both cases you're sort of just swinging from extremes of the pendulum. And only now maybe can I think about like more self-awareness, or just understanding yourself better and not thinking of yourself as good or bad, just existing, which might be the next stage of what I should focus on. But yeah, in summary, I haven't made any friends in these 3 months. I've spoken to a lot of people. I didn't enjoy it. Not fun. I'm gonna decrease how much I do. In fact, I might regress entirely, but I think I can conceptualize how I would make friends in the future, and I might try and make like one more good friend or something. Part of me thinks that I don't actually want friends though, and that I just want a relationship, and then to be a friend to that person in the relationship. But then I'm wondering, like, am I trying to kill two stones with one bird? Or, well, you know what I mean. Because I think you should be friends with your partner. That seems like a totally natural and healthy thing to do. And I've already said I don't want to make a lot of new friends because I don't need to, but I am interested in the kind of deeper connection that would come with being in a relationship. So then, should I expend efforts in making a bunch of friends, or should I make effort in just a singular relationship? I think that is a question for a different video.